Hi there, welcome to today's lesson in English. The topic we'll be exploring together today is modal verbs, and we're going to be looking at the use of modal verbs in expressing possibility and permission. Using modal verbs to express possibility and permission. What does that mean? It means using these special verbs that are called modal verbs to ask for permission or to give permission, or the use of these modal verbs to say something that might happen, to say something that has a chance of happening. Okay, so what are modal verbs? Modal verbs are special verbs that are used with other verbs to express. Express means to show, to express different things, to say different things, like permission, asking for permission, granting permission, and possibility, stating things that have the chance to happen. Okay, modal verbs are special verbs. They are not normal verbs. I hope we still remember our verbs, our usual or common verbs like run, cry, dance. Okay, these are common verbs. Okay, action words. Verbs are action words. I know we are familiar with verbs. Okay, but modal verbs, which we may not be so familiar with, are special kinds of verbs, and they are used in combination with all these normal verbs that you know, so to express different things, to say different things. By the time they join these normal verbs, they modify, they slightly change the meanings of these verbs to suit what the speaker desires to say. So they are modal because they change the mode or the mood of the main verbs that they are used with. When we start exploring some examples, you will have a better understanding of why we say they are used with the main verbs. Okay, so some examples of the modal verbs that we'll be looking at are can, could, will, would, may, and might. Okay, these are some of the modal verbs. These are not all the modal verbs you have. They are also known as modal auxiliaries. These are some of the ones we'll be looking at. Okay, and as we explore together, you will get a clearer understanding. So before we go ahead to look at the possible ways that these modal verbs can be used in expressing possibility and permission, let's quickly take a look at what possibility and permission mean. Okay, so what's possibility? Possibility is something that might happen or something that is true. Possibility means something that might happen or something that is true. And what is permission? Permission simply means being allowed to do something. I know this is a word you're very familiar with because every now and then, like, mommy didn't give me permission or mommy gave me permission to do it. Okay, so permission simply means being allowed to do something. So the first one we'll be looking at, the first modal verb we'll be exploring is can. Can, and its use in expressing possibility. We'll be exploring can as a modal verb and its use in expressing what is possible, what has a chance of happening, or something that is true. Remember, we said that possibility is something that has a chance of happening or something that is true. So let's look at some examples. The first one here says it can rain later. That means there is a chance that it rains later. There is a chance that it rains later. And then the second one says my friend can speak 3 languages. This is a case of stating something that is true. The speaker here has a friend who has the ability to speak 3 languages. That is a fact. That is true. So this is expressing something that is true or a fact. And the last one says he can finish his homework in 10 minutes. And this is also stressing something that is true. Okay, he can finish his homework in 10 minutes. So say that these are some of the examples where can is used to express possibility. So next is the use of can in expressing permission. Using can to express permission. Remember we said that permission is being allowed to do something. Okay, so let's look at some of the examples we have here. The first one here says, can I borrow your pencil? Can I borrow your pencil? Am I allowed to borrow your pencil? Do you allow me to borrow your pencil? The second one here says, you can have a lollipop after your class. This is a permission being granted to have lollipop, but only after the class. You can have a lollipop after your class. You have the permission. You are allowed to have lollipop after your class. And the last example here says, can I go outside to play, Dad? Can I go outside to play, Dad? Daddy, am I allowed to play outside? This, I am very sure this last sentence, is very familiar to you guys because you use it basically or almost every day when you ask for one permission or the other. Can I go outside to play? Can I have a cookie? Can I do this, Mommy? Can I do that? Okay, so please let's try to familiarize ourselves with these modal verbs and how they are used in expressing permission and possibility. So the next one we're going to look at now is cooled. So the next modal verb we are exploring is cooled. Cooled is also used to express a possibility, but when it's used, it shows that there is a chance of some other options happening. Cooled is used to express something that has a chance of happening, but then whenever it is used, it means that apart from that thing it is expressing, there is a chance of other things also happening. There are options to what is expressed by the use of cooled. There are options to the event that is expressed using cooled. Let's look at some examples. The first one here says, she could win the race. She could win the race. That means there is a chance of her winning the race, but then there are also other options that she doesn't win. Okay, now winning, it could be first position, which is the overall win, but then if she comes second place, third place, it's also win because she gets a prize. And then there is also the chance that she doesn't come in any of the first three positions. So she could win the race indicates that there's a possibility of her winning the race, even though there are other options as well to her winning. The second example says it could be hot outside. It could be hot outside. Now there's a possibility that it's going to be hot outside, but then it may not also be hot. And the last one says they could arrive before us. There is a chance that they arrive before us. It is possible that they arrive before us. These are some cases, these are some examples or some sentences where could is used to express something that can happen, something that has a chance of happening, or something that exists with some other options. So the next modal verb, it's still could, but we are considering could this time in the use of permission. We're looking at how could is used in either asking for permission or granting permission. Okay, when we say expressing permission, it refers to asking for permission or granting permission. Alright, so here are some examples that we're going to look at. Before I go on, let me quickly mention that could in the use of expressing permission in permission actually focuses on what has options more than when it is used for expressing possibility. Here in the use of expressing permission, could highlights more of an event or something that has options. When we explore or look at the examples, we understand better what I'm trying to say. So the first example here says, could you help me with my work? Could you help me with my work? This is quite familiar because it's just a straightforward way of asking permission for the other person to help them with their work. Now let's look at the second example. It says, I could choose the red dress or the blue one. Sorry, let me add the blue one. I could choose the red dress. I could choose the red dress or the blue one. This is what I was trying to explain when I said that the use of could in expressing permission highlights more the options that an event could have. It focuses more on when events have options than when it is used to express possibility. It is in the use of permission, it actually shows more of when an event has options of happening. So the last example says, my son could join the arts or music club. Just like the second example is also showing us options here. That there is the son has the option of joining either the arts club or the music club. Just like number 2, I could choose the red. I have the option of choosing the red dress or the blue one. So examples 2 and 3 are cases where the use of could in expressing permission highlights a case of an event having options, whereas the example for number 1 is a direct way of asking for permission. Okay, it's a direct way of asking for permission. So let's move on to the last part, I guess. Yeah. So the next modal verb we're looking at or exploring now is may. Looking at may. Now may is a more polite way of asking permission. I know we are quite familiar with may. It's a more polite way of asking permission, when compared to can. We've explored how we use can in expressing permission, like, can I use the bathroom? Can I use your phone, or can I borrow your laptop? We've seen that. Now here we're looking at may, and may is a more polite way of asking permission. For instance, may I borrow your laptop, please? Or may I use your phone? It's still the same thing. You're asking for permission as in when you use can, but there is a difference, Even the tone, the use of may suggests something more polite. So may is actually considered to be a more polite way of expressing or asking for permission when compared to can. Here are some examples. Let's quickly look at them. The first one here says, you may go to the gym later. You may go to the gym later. Permission is being given for the other person to go to the gym later. So number 2 says, may I leave now? May I leave now? And the last one says, may I use your phone? Please take note of these words and as much as possible try to use them in your everyday life. Try to use them. Apart from the fact that they help you to speak better English, they also increase your worth. The more respectful and polite you are, the more people will love you. Okay, so it's very good that we learn about these modal verbs and the different ways they are used to express permission and possibilities, and the ones that are more polite than the others to use, so that when we go out there, to talk to people, to ask for things, we know which one is appropriate for us to use. Can is mostly used, in informal situations, like people you are close to, you are used to, and all of that. Well, it's okay, you use can. Can I go to the toilet and all that? But when it's somebody you are not really familiar with, okay, or an adult from outside, it's always better you use may, because it is a more polite form of asking permission. Okay, so I hope we have at least we understand this from the little exploration we have done here. Okay, the last aspect that we're going to consider in the use of modal verbs in expressing possibility and permission is the use of might. Okay, the use of might in expressing permission and possibility. We're going to take might and permission first, and then we'll move on to possibility. When we use might to express permission, it is usually a more polite form of asking permission. Please take note. Might is usually a more polite form of asking permission when compared to a modal verb like can. It's always more polite to use might than can. Please take note of that. So let's look at these few examples, okay, that will help us understand this better. Number one here says, might this seat be free? Might this seat be free? Now, another way of expressing this permission with the use of can is, can I use this seat? Can I use this seat? They are expressing the same thing, but might here is making it to be more polite. Might this seat be free? And the second example says, I was wondering if I might borrow your phone. As against, can I borrow your phone? So we see here again that this sounds more polite. I was wondering if I might borrow your phone. You can see the tone is really that of politeness. And the last one here says, the teacher might invite us to her office. The teacher might invite us to her, also indicating permission. The teacher could grant us permission to come to her office. Okay, so these are some ways that you can use might in expressing permission. All right, so the last one that we're going to consider is might and possibility. That is the use of might as a modal verb to express possibility. Now, what is possibility? Possibility on a general note means the chance of something happening. A chance of something happening. We have seen the use of may in expressing possibility, but in the case of might, there is a small chance of an event happening. The chance or chances of something happening in the use of might is very small. The chances are small, or the chance is small of an event happening. Okay, so please take note. May and might both express possibility, but then might expresses possibility on a lower level. When might is used, it means the chance of something happening is very small. All right, let's look at some examples. 1. It might rain today. There is a possibility that it rains today, but the possibility is very small. The chances of it raining today is very small. Okay, number 2 says he might be the team leader. Again, here there is an expression of the possibility that the person being referred to here could be the team leader, but then the chances are very low. The chances are small. And the last one says, my friend might prefer pen to pencil. Here again, there is a chance that my friend will prefer pen to pencil, but that chance is very small. It is minimal. Okay, now what you just bear in mind is that might, in expressing possibility, shows an event that has a small chance of happening. It shows an event that has a small chance of happening. If there is something that has a higher chance of happening, then it's preferable to use may. It's preferable to use may. So once you know the difference between these two, you'll be able to correctly apply them. Okay, so I hope the few modal verbs that we explored to see how they can be used to express possibility and permission are clear enough for us to put into use. As we play, as we interact, let's try and be using these modal verbs in the context that we have learned them. Language is about practice. Language is about speaking. There is no way you can learn any language without speaking it, without saying it, without engaging your mouth, and by also practicing. So I encourage you to practice these words, these modal verbs that you have learnt about in expressing possibility and permission. These are words that on daily basis we have opportunities to use them. On daily basis we have opportunities to ask for permission from daddy, from mommy, from uncles and aunties. On daily basis we express things like this. So please, let's try and put what we have learned to use. Okay, so next week we are still going to touch on something like this, and we have opportunity to explore more examples together. So please try your hands on some things, carry out some practices of the use of these words, and let daddy and mommy know, let uncle and auntie know what you have tried to work on, and if possible it could be sent across to me to also have a look at what you are doing, and it will be so much fun. We're looking at this together. Okay, so I hope to see you next week. Now for the adults around, I would plead with you to help us share this link so that it can get to as many people as possible, as many people as would be in need of this, as many people as these videos might help. Just help us spread the word. Okay, and God bless you as you do. Hope to see you next week. Stay blessed and stay safe.